Well, it's a blizzard.
It is a blizzard, and everybody...
Not that it's a real deal blizzard.
Not that it's about me, but I was supposed to go to New York this weekend and woke up on, I guess it was Saturday morning, and was like, so I think we should cancel because I do not want to get stuck in New York. I mean, I love New York, but I would have been stuck.
You would have been stuck, but not for as long as... So I'm from Rhode Island, and my mom still lives there, and my sister still lives there. And the snow has not yet finished there. The snow has finished here, and we tapped out at 22 inches here at my house with a ruler in our backyard. And my mother's house in Rhode Island it is still snowing, and they are already at 32 inches.
Yeah, that's insane.
Which is, everybody, a fucking lot of snow. Like... And it's also not light. You know, there are different kinds of snow. This is really, really good snowman snow. Like, it's sticky. It, like, holds together. It's heavy snow. Like, I was looking at our deck, which is made of wood and definitely falling apart. And I was like, I wonder if this is going to hold.
Oh, yeah, I felt that weight on it.
With all that snow on it.
I'll never forget when we had that blizzard in 2011. Like, I, kind of dutifully put on my snow pants. Like, once it stopped, I was like, okay, we're going to go out and start, like, working the snow. Because that's the thing. It's, like, all fun and games when you're sitting in there just looking at it pretty. But then you have to go out there. And I took, like, sort of a step off of, like, our back steps. Mm-hmm. And then just, like, the snow was up to my hips.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. Like, it really is. Like, I've lived in snowy places most of my life. But I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot when, like, I, too, have lived in snowy places. I mean, like, I grew up in New England. Like, I feel like snow is a thing. I said on an earlier episode this month, like, I was a skier. I'm very comfortable around snow. But, like, this morning I was out there doing a shovel and I was thinking, this is a lot of fucking snow. Like, and I started to really think, like, how are people going to get out from under this when they're not in Mom Donnie's New York? Because, our mayor has been really taking care of business here
his little
so far.
Videos are so charming.
I know. Did you see the one? I sent you the one where he called the
like
high school student.
I know, it's so cute.
Tell her because they were so upset that it was remote learning last time.
Well, sure.
So he gave them a real deal snow day.
Which is cute. It really is. Here in snowy Chicago news, so everybody, we name our snowplows in this city, which is pretty funny. So when
That's adorable.
Like, put a new one every year, I mean, I think a lot of them are just regular or whatever, but like every year it's like a really funny thing they do at like the City of Chicago website, which is like name the snowplow, and then like people get to suggest names, and then people get to vote on the finalists. And this year, of course, everyone I know suggested that the name of the snowplow should be Fuck Ice. Or it wasn't. It's not Fuck Ice. That would not. It's the City of Chicago, so clearly
Melt Ice or something like that.
Abolish Ice is what it was. And so, of course, everybody, including me, everybody I knew, like got because you enter in your zip code and like enter in your title, and in fact, they announced this morning that the newest snowplow is named Abolish Ice.
Amazing.
Good job, Chicagoans.
I love a democracy.
Welcome to the resistance. Right. And I think it's this like little thing. I mean, listen, it's like, obviously I'm joking that it's not like, right, like doing the work is more than just naming a snowplow, but I do think things like that
every little thing counts.
Yeah. And I think they're just like, it's like a little, I don't know, like it just gives you that little boost, right?
Yeah,
like a lot of people feel the way I feel. A lot of people think this is wrong. A lot of people want to like see us all working together to abolish ICE. And it felt great.
I do feel like, are you sensing, and I know that of the two of us, I'm the one I said to Jen earlier this week, I was like, I feel like I annoy everybody with my hope. But
you're Sagittarius, I'm Scorpio, and we can't, sometimes we just can't help that.
Sometimes we just run counter to each other. But I do feel that over the last couple of weeks, like there have been little things that have gone on in my life where I'm like, oh, we are like, the needle is moving. It's Like just today, I was outside on my street, and my neighbor, we were both shoveling. We were shoveling at the same time, so we were doing that thing that we do. How are the kids?
Yeah, right.
How's it's cold out here? And it's supposed to snow again this week. Whatever the things were, and I'm pretty sure this guy, if he didn't vote for Trump, he just didn't vote. One of those. But like we're out there, and he was like, God, I'm tired of the snow. And he's like, I'm thinking about Puerto Rico. The food's great. And I really like that Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl. And I was like, all right. And I was like, all right, I guess Bad Bunny like did a little thing there for my neighbor.
Gave him a way to talk about his feelings, I guess.
And I was like, okay, well, great job.
What's really funny is this morning, okay, so everyone, to my shame, and it's like, whatever, it's just the way I do not know any Spanish. I don't know how that's possible, but it's true. And
now when you say that, do you mean like you literally, like if you hear it, like if you're in a bodega in Chicago or whatever, like you just,
I mean, it's very limited.
Limited.
Right? Very.
What language did you take in high school?
Well, see, here's my problem. I took French in high school, but that was, I mean, the thing, okay, everybody, the way languages have taught have really changed a lot. And I think like when I was in high school, it was like really, the focus was very much on reading and writing.
Mm-hmm.
And now
learn to conjugate this verb.
Right, exactly. Which, by the way, doesn't get you anywhere. And then but now I think the focus is much more on like, that doesn't really matter. What we want you to be is conversational, right? Like practice
talk
talking.
About your family.
Yes,
talk
exactly.
About your,
right. So anyway, I just think I came up at a different time. So, but yeah, very little. My point here is when I am editing, I really like to listen to music, but I can't listen to music that has like lyrics. I'll be like singing along. I need to focus on what is in front of me. But I have found that I can listen to Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Because I don't know it, right? I know what he's saying, but it's like peppy. It kind of keeps me going. I really like it.
And so great. We've been listening. I mean, we, along with everybody else, since the Super Bowl, it's been like nonstop Bad Bunny in our house.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I'm delighted. I'm especially delighted by there's a guy who did a like white guy who was like, let me fix this for you, everybody, so that you all understand how amazing Bad Bunny is. And he like did Titi Me Pregunto, but like he switched to English, and then he like showed how it still rhymes. Like
that's amazing. Yeah.
And with, the lyrics in Spanish so that he could, show it off. And it was, terrific. And I just feel like everybody is having a great time where the Super Bowl did the thing.
I don't know if I've ever told you the story, like years ago. I mean, with like maybe since the pandemic, but like a couple of years, I think after, like a couple of years ago, but like not before the pandemic. I don't know if that makes sense. Bad Bunny had a concert at Soldier Field, and we were coming back from somewhere else and sort of got like caught in the Soldier Field traffic, like in like kind of the neighborhood, kind of like people. And so my husband's like, what is going on? I was like, oh, it's a Bad Bunny concert. And he like was just really like, maybe we should not include this story. Anyway, he looked around. I mean, like most of the people coming out of the concert were Latinx, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, is Bad Bunny like a Spanish speaking act? And I was like, you don't know who Bad Bunny is?
When was this?
Years ago.
Years
ago. Years
like,
ago. Right. Yeah. No, not in the past year, but also like I will admit, listen, we've talked about this. If you're not driving around with your kids,
no.
How are you learning about new music?
This is my thing.
Right?
If you're not a music person, I don't know how you know. Yeah. I live with a music person. And so he's like, he knows who everybody is. He's listened to everything. Like, but like, I am not a music person. And I'm like, how do you find like and then every once in a while I'll hear a song and I'll be like, I'll hear Bad Bunny and I'll be like, what's this? This is great. And I feel like I discovered it. Like,
yeah.
Have you heard of this?
And everyone's like, yes, that's the Super Bowl guy.
Yeah.
Right? This is a global phenomenon pop superstar. Yes. But at that moment, I was like, yeah, it's the Bad Bunny concert. And then I was like, Mr. Reed's Romance, come on. And he was like, I know, I'm sorry.
But now he knows. But once you know about Bad Bunny, then you're in.
Yeah, and we did very much
Ambassador to Love.
Show. Ambassador to Love.
Exactly.
It's nice. You know who else was a real ambassador to love is I don't know if you had a chance. I think I sent it to you. Ryan Coogler won a BAFTA award. There was a lot of controversy, which I don't know that we are going to talk about that. But
we're not going to get into it.
Had a chance to. Those men deserve an apology. I will say that.
They got one about an hour ago.
Good. If you have not had a chance, I'll put it in show notes. Ryan Coogler's speech is beautiful because he talked about like essentially like all the people in the cast and crew and his love for them, and then like what love means to him. And then he gives some advice to writers. I'm not going to spoil it because like he's a writer and he said it a lot better from me, like paraphrasing, but it was amazing. It was a really like, sometimes I feel like the speeches people give at like these award ceremonies sometimes really position them in such an interesting way and like their art. And I feel like I really learned something about Ryan Coogler and his art from that speech. And it was great. So anyway.
No, I really I loved that you sent that to me.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to Fated Mates. I'm Sarah McLean. I read romance novels and I write them.
And I'm Jennifer Prokop, a romance reader and editor. And this week we are doing a deep dive of a book by Julia Wolf called Sincerely Your Inconvenient Wife.
Yes, because
you talk about why, Sarah.
I fell down the Julia Wolf rabbit hole when we were doing around New Year's Eve.
Yes,
because
like it was New Year's Eve.
I remember exactly when it was. Because her book Dear Grumpy Boss, her book P.S. You're Intolerable was on our New Year's Eve list because there is a sort of discovery of lactation kink in that book.
In a very like straight over the middle kind romance. Of, yes. Not
like it's, these are very straight down the middle contemporary romances. And they just happen in that book. Like she's pregnant by another man at the beginning of that book. And she and her boss fall for each other. And then like she has the baby and then she's, lactating and he like is into it. Like it's just sort of like a casual sort of in fact when I talked about it on that episode I was sort of like this is like it's the furthest like not kinky that you can get for this. It's just like a thing they do because they love each other and he's into it. And so they're both into it. But I really loved that book. I thought it was really charming. And then I went back to the beginning of that series. And so I read all of them, one right after another. And it was one of those moments that you as romance readers understand because, it was delightful.
Yeah. And actually, I ended up doing something similar. I really liked that
you
book.
read other stuff.
But I read other books because, she had some rock star romances. And I really love a rock star
did you
romance.
like those?
I did.
I never got to them because I then paused and had to, read something for work, I guess.
Oh, terrible.
For the podcast.
Right? Terrible. And so, I read, I think the ones I read, let me look. I want to make sure I have the right one. Listen, I love this woman and her backlist, but I will tell you something about like the way these books are titled. I'm like, I don't remember what those titles were in any way. But there were some rock star romances that I read that I also really liked. And I think what appealed to me is there was one, let me see if I can figure out which one it is. Sorry, I guess I should have done this before. Is there were some ones that were there was one that was sort of like an age gap. And I was like, that kind of looks hot. It's called, I think, Built to Fall. And it was not like a inappropriate age gap, right? Like he's older, but she's like a young, I think like PR rep essentially on the tour. And they end up sort of falling in love. And I found it to be like, I don't know, again, one of the things I really like about this author, it feels to me, is like, if you are like, okay, I like these books as kink. Now I would like to see these books as romance. I think that she really does a good job at like picking up some of those, like, you know, like there's a million like daddy Jessica Kane style daddy romances, but this is one that really treats the like age gap as like a real relationship, not just kink. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, it's just kink, but I'm interested in them as romance too. And so I think that's what like really drew me to that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you talked about this
potentially, yeah.
On the podcast, I think we talked about that daddy one.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, so, but then, you know, when you do that, and then Jen was reading them too, and then other people we were, like, I was interacting with, like, I was, like, recommending them to other friends, and then I just thought, like, and then I think it was you were like, let's do one of these as a deep dive.
Yeah.
And I had read the third one. So, no, I guess the second one.
It's the second one. Yeah.
Which is a marriage of convenience, a contemporary marriage of convenience called Sincerely Your Inconvenient Wife.
Yeah,
and
great.
I had a great time.
Yeah.
Like, it was really fun. And so I said, Jen, this is the one. You're going to love it because there's a scene in here that is made for Jen. And yeah, so that's the pick.
This week's episode of Faded Mates is brought to you by Melanie Green, author of New Flames.
Maggie and Adrian have had a casual arrangement for a while, and it should have flamed out a long time ago, except her best friend moved to his small town, and the sparks between them have refused to die. However, Maggie is in Honeywine, the town that he lives in, recovering from her hysterectomy, so sex is off the table, and she tells him so, but she'll be there for the summer, and so he is sort of fine with that. He's willing to jump in and care for her and become a part of her life and spend time with her. And these two are falling for each other hard. So Maggie is really loving Adrian's care and their smoldering chemistry. The fact that they can't do it is actually like making everything even more intense. And so they have these wonderful stolen weeks together where they wrestle with the future that they had envisioned for themselves and with each other. And ultimately, these two are falling in love, and it's a slow, delicious burn between two people who are childless by choice.
All right, so if you would like to check out New Flames, it is available in print and wherever books are sold. If your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title right now to be taken to buy the book. Thanks to Melanie Green for sponsoring this week's episode. The way that these books are kind of connected is there's these like three men who are kind of best friends, and then the fourth book is one guy's brother. And they have been like really best friends for a long time. And then, you know, in classic romance series fashion, they are going to like kind of fall in love, right? So Weston in book one falls in love with Elliot's sister, right? So it's kind of like it's got that brother's best friend vibe. And then her name, I think, is Elise.
Yep. That's right.
Right? Is that right? Okay.
That's the last one.
Yeah, that's the first one. And then,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Elise's best friend is Saoirse, and that's this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third guy is Elliot. We talked about him because he's he likes that milk straight from the
brother.
Source.
Well,
he
not
likes
that
milk
from the source.
He does.
I mean, part of the joy of that book, though, is that he's so buttoned up.
Correct.
And then he just loses his mind over this woman.
Yeah. So in this one, what happens is Saoirse is at a party at like a real fancy.
She's like she's life of the party girl, but she's also like, she's your friend. She's your Sagittarius friend. She's your friend who like, you're like, I'm thinking of doing this. And she's like, let me get my shit.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Yes, I will go skydiving with you. Yes, I will travel to like France with you. Yes, I will go backpacking in the Himalayas with you. Yes, I will, sail
like
around the world.
Rule for herself, even.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes if I think I'm going to get something out of it. but she also has real trouble sort of like committing to anything, right? So she is like just has a series of temporary jobs. She would rather like temp at a place for a couple months and kind of do the work and move on, right? So we see her as like unable to settle down, but now that it's like a quality that might have been like really fun and charming when they were real young, but now that they are getting more towards their late 20s, it's starting to feel like, is she falling out of step like with her friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she shows up she goes to a party with a kind of a casual friend and ends up meeting and having a very near one night stand with this hot man named Luke. And she tells him her name is Sasha, or he mishears and thinks her name is Sasha.
She tells him the truth, but like they both sort of mishear each other because the
Right.
party's so loud.
Yes.
And he like, and Luca is the new CEO of his family business, which is a company called Rossi Motors, which makes like really terrific motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ducatis, that kind of thing, like really fancy motorcycles that, are pieces of art as much as they are, transportation. And his mother is ill, and his father has retired to like take care of her. And he is now the CEO, and his sister is the COO or the CFO of the company. And like her husband is also in the company, and it's sort of a real family company. But Luca is young and he is committed to this company, but like he's young and he sort of isn't, I don't know that he's like 100% ready. Like he's been like kind of pushed into this spot. And that's not, I think one of the things that I really like about Julia Wolf's books is there is no, it could be, he's not ready. He doesn't want it. He doesn't, it could be a sort of big dramatic thing.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, it's just sort of like, he's just not sure he's ready. Like he does want it. This is his birthright. This was the plan all along. But like, it just wasn't supposed to come quite now.
Yes. Well, and I think the other thing is that part of the reason it has come now, right, is his dad has had this heart attack. And,
the dad is sick.
Right,
I'm sorry, not the mom.
And that's why. And so there's like, and this has also caused a little bit of like strife and like interesting dilemma for Luca, because he had always thought like, my parents are so happily married, they're so perfect and great together, but like after the heart attack and having to like be at home with the mom, his dad's kind of being a little difficult. And so and then the other thing about not being ready is that Luca is like one of those young, hot guys in Denver who's like always always in the tabloids and right, like is always seen on the arm of a different beautiful woman. And so part of the like not ready of it all is that the board, right, of, the company kind of thinks like maybe this guy is not like, what if his bad reputation rubs off on us, the company? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is then what causes essentially the plot, once it sort of really gets going, is that Luca realizes like, okay, if I had a wife, I would look more right. His sister's like sort of like gives him a dossier of like, you can marry these ladies, or not marry, but like date these women. This would make you look more settled, like, right, like more ready for this like big job. You're not going to be this like, kind of, I don't know, like, right, like wastrel anymore, even though that's all very silly.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about this is it like that's the motivation for him, like when it all eventually happens, for him to ask Saoirse, right, to like sort of be his wife, is like, I can fix a problem for you and you can fix a problem for me, and we'll just do it for 2 years. And the problem he's going to fix for her is that she has a very overbearing
mother
right? A very difficult and overbearing mother
Well,
who's like a politician in
yeah, she's
California
like
and right, yeah,
senator.
a
Like
state senator, I
she's
think.
a state senator from California, but she clearly has aspirations for more.
Yeah.
And she has like always been a little. She's been disappointed in,
Mm-hmm.
Saoirse's life choices, and also like just kind of more. It seems like she's sort of painted in this book as being like a woman who just was not satisfied with her life the way it was,
Mm-hmm.
and so she left her husband and two children. Her Saoirse's father has like a farm out, like
And
out,
a horse farm, like
yeah,
in Wyoming.
yeah, like in the Northwest, or I don't know, is that what we call that, Wyoming? And so
Wyoming, I think, is its own
it's
thing.
just its own thing. It's just a square over
I
there.
mean, there's like more people in Cook County than Wyoming,
I know,
or right your neighborhood. So
exactly.
we don't,
Exactly.
we cannot pretend to understand
Wyoming,
Wyoming.
you are
Everybody,
fascinating. I don't understand, but anyway, but it's like sort of it's motorcycling distance from Chicago.
from Denver, you mean?
I'm sorry, not Chicago, from Denver,
That's
and
wait,
not
can I tell you
Chicago.
something really funny? I
Yeah.
remember when I was in college, which I was college in Philadelphia, and I said something about like going home, like right about like driving to Detroit for Thanksgiving because it's like I had family there, and like the person I was talking to just like their eyes kind of glazed over, and I was like, "What?" And they're like, "It's just like I'm really thinking about like being within driving distance of Detroit. Like that's so far from here." Like they just had this like,
Yeah,
and I will admit that like the idea of like you can drive to Wyoming in 4 hours. What?
yeah.
How's that possible?
It does feel very far away.
Right?
But
That's
I remember
exactly
for
how my
Authors
eyes
Against
glazed
Book
over.
Bans, I was doing
Yeah.
something in Colorado. I was like focused on something that was going on in Colorado. And I was like, I literally pulled up a map because
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, what's near there. And Wyoming is actually, you fly into Denver to get to a lot of
Sure.
Wyoming. So anyway, all of that is to say, like, and her brother lives up there with his child and his wife, who's in their story is a different book in the Julia Wolf universe. And so there's just this kind of sense of Saoirse having this like world of her very overbearing mother who has just really not parented well.
Yeah.
And then this kind of family that is really lovely.
Mhm.
And we don't meet them for about, I don't know, 2/3 of the book. And then we meet them. And there's this kind of really lovely moment with them. But so here we have these two people who both have like, are the product of their circumstance, their lives, their childhoods. So Luca comes home and he's very tired. Like what we know about Luca from his friends and from life is that he was kind of a scoundrelly, like, like not scoundrelly, but like he got around and he was a guy who like rode motorcycles and was hot. And now he is, struggling to like make good on his new career as CEO of the family business. He has a cousin from Italy who is staying with him, who is the opposite of responsible and basically just like is throwing parties in his fancy apartment.
Right.
And so Luca comes home and his cousin guest has decided to throw this fancy party. He's invited Saoirse's friend who is, who he's like into. She brings Saoirse and they get there and Saoirse's just bored. Like there's like we sense immediately that like she too is on this kind of precipice of like, how long is she going to be able to like do this? And so she gets to this party and she's tired and bored. And so she kind of explores this penthouse because who wouldn't?
Sure.
Finds the library or the study or whatever and falls asleep. Like Sleeping Beauty. And then he comes home and he's like, I want none of this party. Like, I just want to have a drink and like go to bed. Yeah. And he walks into his study and there is this beautiful sleeping woman on his couch. And she's like, and then she wakes up and it's kind of magical and they fuck.
Oh, they Almost fuck. He gets her off.
He does get her off. He has a meal, and then
I can't remember why. Like something essentially.
All I remember is that he has a very nice meal.
Yes, and like I was like, no wonder Sarah loves this because she's like, let's not get you next time, boo.
Yeah,
but I gotta go for whatever reason. Yeah,
and he like pats her on the head and like sends her out into the party, and like that's that.
Yeah,
or it's not to the party, but like he sends her home. So.
One of the things I actually want to say is like I do sort of appreciate like how firmly this is just really like an inciting incident. Like the cousin we never see again, her friend that she went with we never hear from again.
Isn't she the roommate?
No. It's just, no, because the roommate's a good person. This person, person is just sort of like this like dirtbag friend of hers that, you know, she just agrees to go with. And I sort of was like, you know what? I like that we're not even going to pretend that I have to care about these people.
This week's episode of Fated Mates is sponsored by the What's in the Smut podcast.
So podcasters Kay and Ellie, who are the hosts of the What in the Smut podcast, bonded over their love of reading, writing, and yapping. They're both hilarious. So what else are you going to do? Of course, but start a podcast, a journey we are very familiar with. So what started as a fun hobby turned into an exploration of what they like in the smut world. And so what they do is every week they get together and talk about a smutty book and whether or not it works. Right? Does the smut work? How does the relationship dynamic feel? And what does the lore bring to the table? This is a really fun podcast and just one that like really has like they're going to talk about everything, right? They're breaking down the current read, talking about their like everything that's going on in the world, and most importantly, giving and getting recommendations for people who love the same kind of books.
You can listen to What in the Smut wherever you listen to podcasts. We know that you know where to do that because you're listening to us. And head over to What in the Smut on any podcasting app and you'll be able to subscribe. As a special treat for Fated Mates listeners, if you hang out after this week's episode, you will get a sneak peek at an episode of What in the Smut. Thanks to L, K, and the whole What in the Smut team for sponsoring this week's episode. This is where romance really shines because there are a lot of things that happen in the first couple chapters of this book where you're like, this would never happen in real life, but it's romance logic. Like it's just romance reasons, right?
Of course.
For romance reasons, Saoirse is between temp jobs. She gets a temp job in the marketing department at Rossi Motors.
I mean, that's just how it goes, Sarah.
Where she's like temping. And now listen, it has been a long time since I temped. But when I temped, it was like you got sent somewhere to like do some filing.
Oh, yeah.
She's like temping to go. She's like at Rossi Motors temping and like she's designing like advertising. It's fine.
Sure. It's like marketing temping.
Right. Because she's actually very good at marketing. So she gets this job, she's there, and then, but she kind of, it's not clear, like he recognizes, so he sees her and he recognizes that like, she's the girl from the other night, but like, he's basically like, this is not on CEO, she's a temp, like this isn't happening.
Go ahead. And then they really like interact again at a brunch. Yeah, go ahead.
And then here's the other thing. So this is the second book in the series. In the first book, her friend married his friend, or her friend started dating his friend. Mm-hmm. But for romance reasons, Saoirse has never been on page with him.
Right.
Which I like to think Julia Wolf was like, oh, past me really did me a solid. Right? Because they don't know each other.
Right.
Even though like their whole friend group, they are both part of this group. They just have never met each other. So she's like, it's that way that, you know, you have friends who have friends, like, and you hear about your friends' friends. And she knows that he's just been promoted to CEO. He's now like chairman of the board. And so she loves this farmer's market, like where she like goes and she like flirts with the honey guy and she like buys her fresh flowers and all her fresh stuff. And she's meeting her friend group for brunch. And she knows that he is going to be there. And she's like, oh, this is going to be the first time I've ever met Luca, which is weird, but like, this is great. And she goes to the farmer's market first and she buys him a gift.
Oh, yeah. This is great.
And what's so cute about this, and listen, writers, if you are out there and you are like, you're starting like writing and you're just like struggling, here's a perfect example of like a character trait that is bestowed by the author that suddenly gives you such clarity on who this character is. So she's at the farmer's market by herself before brunch. At the market, she buys him a cheese board with like local cheese, honey from the honey guys she flirts with, like a few things. She packages it all together and brings it to brunch so that when she meets this new person who is friends with all of her friends, she has a gift for him. She's like, I heard you were promoted. You're now chairman of the board. I bought you a cheese board. Like,
it's amazing.
It's so cute and it's so sweet. And it sets her up as this like truly loving and lovable and like whimsical, sweet person.
Now, and what do you think this man does, everybody, with this cheese
fucking
board?
Dummy.
He just like puts it on the ground next to him.
He has a fucking feeling and doesn't know what to do.
And you have to remember, like, she doesn't know, right, at this point that Luca, the person she's buying the cheese board for, is Luke, the guy she almost had sex with, like, 3 days earlier or whatever. So it's right. So it's just this great moment because then, of course, we also see her, like, sort of be like she's hurt, but also, like, able to process that this is sometimes like a little too much for people. They don't know how to respond.
Sometimes she's like a golden retriever.
Right, exactly. Right. And so she's kind of like, okay, I'm
too much.
That's fine. I'm too much. Or, he doesn't really know what to do with this, or he thinks it's weird. And I think it's just like a really good moment because, of course, everybody, the other great thing about this is like, and I don't want to drop this thread, later on, the first time she's like back in the apartment, she sees that he uses it. Yeah, and she realizes
the only thing on his like
on the
perfectly
counter.
Manicured kitchen counters is this cheese board.
And so it's like a really great way of like, I don't know, like there's so many like signs and signals just involved in this like little exchange. And so and of course, he's like, have you been following me? You know what I mean? Like, or whatever, like men are so dumb. And I think the thing about this whole interaction is it just like really sets up, as you said, a very like distinctive kind of interaction where she is like, I care about people and this is how I make friends and it's how I interact with people and it's how I show people I care about them. And we see this eventually as a product of like how she was raised and like what happened between her parents, right? And maybe I should say what that is now, which is like what we find out is that her parents essentially like, and it's like this important, right? Like fell in love and like, but because her mom was a state senator and her dad was a rancher in Wyoming, they couldn't ever quite figure it out. And then at some point her father like had an affair. And it broke the marriage and it broke everything about them as a family. And it broke, and it's like, and then her brother was old enough that he was going off to college and sort of like leaving her there to like pick up the pieces. And
so she's always been that person.
Yeah. And we like really see in a way that like it's not exactly people pleasing, but it is, I think, in the sense that like she understands that, I am a lot. And so this is a way I can signal to people also at the beginning, though, that I like pay attention and I care about you. Right. I'm like, kind of putting money in the bank of our relationship. So later when I am too much for you, you'll remember these moments. And I don't think it's something like she even really realizes about herself, because the other thing that becomes really clear really fast is she's just not used to people sticking up for her ever.
Correct.
Right? Elise is her best friend, but that is different than what she's going to experience with Luca.
But even her friends are like, oh, Saoirse, she's such a lark. She's so whimsical. She's so like,
right.
She's so good at hiding.
Yes.
All the ways that she is really thoughtful and concerned about her life, her people, her world. Right.
Right.
So, okay. So then we have to get to the marriage piece. So, Luca and Saoirse, so then like he realizes then they have this like cute, another thing I really love about Julia Wolf's books, they all have these like cute little epistolary moments. Everybody who listens to the podcast knows like,
right,
I'm just trash for anything like that.
Oh, and
she does it really well. It's great. So
it's good.
So there, and he knows her email address because she works for him. So it's, convenient. So, then as I said, new CEO, he's very young. He's sort of a hot shot. He's been seen around town with like models and like women. And now, his sister, who is the CFO of the company, like is really the kind of like brains of the operation in terms of, she takes everything. She's very serious. She's very buttoned up. She takes this job very seriously and the company very seriously. He turns up in his office to discover that his sister who reveals very early in the book, this is sort of like, I don't know, in the first 20% of the book, it's revealed that like the sister has this husband who's kind of he's nothing. He's a nothing person.
Yes.
But he works for the company, and she reveals that she married him in a very sort of like Siobhan and Tom Wambsgans from Succession situation. She married him because like he was good for the company. Like he looked good on paper. He was going to make a good husband and like serve the company.
Right.
And so Luca sort of arrives in his office to discover that his sister has done like a fair amount of research and discovered that married CEOs are more trustworthy to investors than unmarried CEOs. And she had married for the good of the company. And like, I should say, she is not contentious. They do not dislike each other, these siblings. They love each other very much.
Yeah.
She is also pregnant with her first child, right? So, and so I want it, like, they are in each other's corners largely.
Yes.
And so, she's basically like, look, I did this and now I'm pregnant and like, I'm happy.
I'm
like,
happy. Right.
Like, it's okay. Let me send you a list of women who would be appropriate for you to date.
Yes.
And he's like, that sounds like the worst.
It is. It's great. It really is.
He's like, what? And she's like, listen, this is the way this game is played.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, our parents love each other. And she's like, yeah, well, that's a luxury that, maybe you don't have. So he sends this list over and it's just
so great. It's so great.
I mean, it's all so organized.
Yes.
And then he's basically like, I don't
want
this at all.
Yeah.
So, and then luckily at the same time, Saoirse's mother sort of arrives in a really like pushy way.
Yeah.
And it's basically like,
yeah,
you have to get your shit together. Like, you're an embarrassment.
Right.
And this like deeply people-pleasing woman is in a struggle.
Yeah.
So they make a deal. And the deal is, I'll marry you. What if we can solve each other's problems? It's a true marriage of convenience. And listen, I think this is a great example. Like, marriage of convenience is very particular trope.
Yes.
Because it requires both parties to find value in a marriage that is not for love.
Yes.
Right? So
and that's hard to do in a contemporary, I would say, right?
Tremendously hard to do.
I think that's the other thing that makes this like a really interesting read is I think it's really effective. And I think that's because of some of the guardrails that they put around it once they agree to it, right? So and this is the part that I also like really liked is so there's like a time limit on it, right? It's going to be 2 years. There is going to be, she's going to move into his place, but she's going to have her own room, right? Like, we can't make it look like, right, you don't live here. That's not going to convince anybody. And then the other thing that I really found like very interesting was like the emotional kind of piece around it gets put in by Luca, who is like, my parents love each other. And, even Clara loves this dummy, right? And my sister. I mean, yes, she feels like maybe she picked a safe choice, but like you're really like, he's like, she loves him. I think he's a jackass, but she loves him.
Yep.
And so the emotional sort of guardrail around it is like, it's not going to be about sex. It's going to be about right? Like, we're just going to keep that out of that. Like, I already had my nice meal. I don't need to have another one. It's going to be fine.
Sure
right?
it is, you fucking dummy.
And
listen, this is a classic Lisa Kleypas setup, and I'm for it.
Yeah, but I thought it was, I mean, I do feel like, listen, I feel like sometimes you can like really play around with like you change some of the things around and it really works, right? So instead of him being he actually really believes in love, she's the one who doesn't. Right? He's the one who's like, well, I can't actually disappoint my parents by having a marriage of convenience, so we're going to have to make this look real. And she's the one who's sort of more like, yeah, my parents already understand how strong my boundaries are about where they get to like talk and interfere in my life. And so it's very interesting, I think, and it's one of the reasons that it's sort of effective because it feels like interesting and different to me, right?
Yes.
So do I want to talk about like the actual wedding? Because it's another one of my favorite scenes.
It's so good.
This week's episode of Faded Mace is brought to you by the Romantasy Letters.
So the Romantasy Letters is a very cool concept, which is you can subscribe for 24 letters that come in the mail, and in each package, it's an envelope that arrives in the mail, and in each package is a little booklet which has a chapter of the story, which is right now called A Treaty of Hearts. And it includes other things related to the story. So I actually subscribed to this, and I bought it for my daughter, who is 12 and really into stuff like this. And our first envelope arrived, and when we opened it, it had a little bound booklet, which was the first chapter of the book, which sets up this kind of story between two rival leaders who make an arrangement for one of them to marry the daughter of the other. And so one is a fae king and one is a human, and these two are going to have to marry, and they're going to have to, make a romance together. And it came with this little booklet. In the prologue, he says he's sending a letter to the woman he's going to have to marry, or he's going to marry, to introduce himself. The letter comes with the booklet, along with a map of the world and the crest of the kingdom. It's very cool. It's a really neat little like package. And then that was maybe 2 weeks ago. And this morning when I checked the mail, we had the second envelope. So every couple of weeks you'll get one, and it seems really fun. We're reading it together, and maybe you have somebody you'd like to read it with, or you'd like to read it by yourself, or somebody you'd like to give it to.
Right. So if you would like to bring magic back to your mailbox, then you can check out the Romantasy Letters. You can go to romantasyletters.com and use the code FADED for 20% off your year subscription. All the details for how to order are on their website, and it has lots of cool information about like the story and how it works. Thank you to the Romantasy Letters for sponsoring this week's episode. If you're going to say that a book is a marriage of convenience book, then you need to the wedding.
They have to get married early.
Yes, they have to get married early. Most of the book needs to be them married, right? So you can't dilly-dally. It can't be like, oh, we're going to have a marriage of convenience and they're getting married in the third act. No, these motherfuckers need to be married early. That is the whole point of this trope.
Yes.
And so she shows up at his house, and they're like some minister he knows or whatever is going to. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Before we do this, though, it's also important to note that so the guardrails, there is one other guardrail. Actually, there are two other guardrails, or not guardrails, but rules, right?
Yeah.
That before she'll agree. One is he absolutely has to be there when she tells her mother
yes,
that they're
correct.
married.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And this is obviously the moment I read this, I'm like, and that is the scene that's going to be for Jen. And then,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we're going to talk at
funny.
length about this.
We are.
Yeah.
And then remind me, Jen, and everybody else who's listening, that when we get there, I have something to say about heated rivalry. So then, and then the other thing she says is, I want a cat.
Oh, yes.
And
how did I forget about the cat part? I love this part.
But the cat is going to come back too. It's important, right?
Yeah.
So just remember that. And now I will let you the wedding day.
Right. So yeah, there's like
And this
I
is
guess.
all over by email, by the way. They
Oh yeah.
negotiate by email, and I'm just eating it up.
Of course you are. It was great though. It really was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole title comes from that. She's like sort of like you're sincerely your, inconvenient employee, and then it's like your almost wife, and then it's like you're right, like it's just like you see the evolution of like their feelings in the way they're like addressing each other and the sign off. It's really well done. It's
And
great.
it's so great because she's sort of like, it's such a great way of getting Saoirse into a relationship at like conceptually, because this is a person who like never commits to anything, won't even get a like long-term job, won't even get, like doesn't have an apartment, like
has wanted a cat her whole life, but won't get one.
Get one because it's too much of a commitment. But now she's like, well, 2 years is that's like not really a commitment, but it is long enough to have a cat. Right? Like, so we're starting to even just see in the text, like Saoirse's mind beginning to just shift toward like, instead of short term, now we're thinking like longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think they basically agree, like, they're not going to sleep around or bring other people home. Like, there's like other things that they discuss, right? So,
but they don't commit to like a completely monogamous.
I can't even really remember.
It feels like late. Like it's not really a thing. Everyone, there isn't like another person who comes into play. But I think at the beginning, it's just sort of like we have to be responsible and respectful. And then it becomes very clear very quickly that like he just won't, like neither of them are having it.
Yeah, right. And I think then what they're going to agree to is like there'll be a divorce. And then this is like the other really like the hardest part for her, I think, Saoirse, is that she basically is like, listen, we're going to have to lie to everybody. Okay. This is, and she doesn't want to do that. And he's like, okay, but listen, when we actually get divorced, people can find out then, and we won't really actually be, I don't remember exactly how he phrases it. Essentially something like, we won't be forcing people to take sides, so it'll be fine. And there's this great line, and I highlighted this because I thought it was really interesting, right? Where it's like she thinks he was so calm and slick with his answers, I wanted to shout and ruffle him up a little. This man was asking for a lot while behaving like it was nothing. Right?
And he is in his head the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, he's sort of like thrown off. At one point, she sort of says like, well, she's superstitious about the wedding, right? Like, she's like, don't look at me. Like, she comes to the wedding's at his apartment. It's just the two of them and a officiant who he's like summoned.
Right.
And she's like, it's my wedding. So she dresses.
Yeah. Oh, like
and she's like, don't look at me. And he's like, what the hell? And she's like, you're looking at me. And he's like, why wouldn't I look at you? And she's like, it's bad luck.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, are you always this like superstitious? And she says, won't it be fun for you to find out when I'm Mrs. Lucas Rossi?
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, oh, he's going to die because she said his name.
Right.
And he does die, but he dies because he like gets a stomach
he loves
ache.
it. Yeah.
Because he gets a stomach ache because he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I guess. Right. Well, maybe this is the whole, like, I really actually believe in marrying for love, and now this is going to be the woman who has my name, and this will be my wife, but she's not going to be my wife. It will be his wife soon enough, right?
My wife.
My wife. And so I think this is like and then the other really interesting thing that happens at the wedding is, she brings him a ring. Right?
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, right? Like back to like the gift giving part of it. Now, they're on like the balcony, like, overlooking, I would assume, like the Front Range, and like the minister takes like pictures of them. And, like sort of like there's this real push. And I think this is what I really like. It's like, and this is all, I mean, I think the wedding is kind of over by like the first 100 pages. Like, and it's a long book. It's 400 pages. So like by the first quarter, right, the wedding has happened. Which
it's almost like exactly at the
again,
first quarter,
how it should be, everybody. Good job. And so she's given him a ring, and it's not like, and he gives it this like strange look almost. And she's like a little embarrassed, like he didn't want it, whatever. And it's just like, again, very interesting the way that she clocks and seems to understand that what is awkward and what he doesn't like is all of the stuff about, I don't know, like the trappings of this, right? So how could someone who doesn't believe in marriage how is she bringing me a ring? Why does she show up in a dress, right? Like,
Yeah.
we are starting to see like confusion and delay, right?
Yep.
Sort of already happening.
But
right.
Go ahead.
Well, I was saying, and then when they like have brunch, right, with like sort of like the gang or whatever, and it's really interesting because Elise, who is like her best friend, literally the first thing she says is like, "You don't believe in marriage." And like Saoirse has to like lie to her face, right?
Yep.
I didn't until Luca, right? And then it's like, you didn't even tell me that you were together. Well, it like happened so fast. It was a whirlwind, right? And it's Elliot, whose book comes after this, is the one who is like, I think something is happening here. You know, something is sus and I can't quite figure out what it is. Although this is also, listen, a little mild spoiler that I really enjoyed was then them meeting Elliot's like assistant. And it was Luca who's like, oh, when is she due? Which was like, right. And Elliot's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. He's like, your assistant is clearly pregnant. And Elliot being like,
perfect.
She would have told me. And Luca being like, well, you have eyes? Like, right? I mean, anyway, it's a great scene also in Elliot's book, but it was really fun to like read it here too. Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
here's the other thing that I would say of the two of them. So for somebody who Luca was so insistent, right, that they like keep the secret among everybody, right?
Yeah.
But she is really the one who is carrying this because I just want to say one more thing about the wedding scene, which is so like really delicately developed, right? Because he obviously has all these things for her too, right? Like he has a bouquet of flowers for her, which is a surprise. Like, it's surprising that he thought of it.
Yes.
And he has a ring for her, which does not surprise you as a reader because, like, that's the ruse, right? Like, she is going to need a ring. So he is surprised that she has a ring. But then when he puts on the ring that she gives him, he doesn't even look at it. Yeah. Right? And we're in Saoirse's point of view, and she's like, he doesn't even care. Like, does he not like it? Like, does he? Right. And so I think like what we're doing here is we're starting to see the seeds of doubt that will come back to haunt both of them later in the book because Saoirse doesn't stick around. Saoirse doesn't. She's the one who's always leaving, who's never committing, who can't stick around. But the reality is that she's starting to mark in large part because she knows it, right? She's experienced it. All these moments where Lucas is also like not 100% in.
Yeah, right.
And so, you know, at the moment at the end where there is this crisis point and this kind of black moment for them, there is a situation where she too is like, you weren't in.
Yes.
Like, ultimately, her biggest fear is he's not in.
Yeah. Right, of course.
Yeah, because she knows what that's like.
Yes. Yeah. I think the thing that's then like really interesting to me about like the book is sort of then, again, it's marriage of convenience, right? Like, so now they're married, right? It's 25% of the way through the book, and now they are married. And now we are going to see them transition from being two people faking being married to being real married, right? And what are the markers of that for both of them? And so the first sort of set of hurdles is about their families. And so it's going to be telling, right? Like Clara being like, wait, what the fuck? I gave you the dossier of ladies to date and now you're married. Right. And his parents sort of like show up. And now here's the other thing. Luca is the new CEO of this company. And so he's always at work late, right? Like she moves her stuff in. She has her own room. There's a common room, like a family room that they both really like hanging out in. And so this is often like when he comes home, he'll find her there. Right. And that like it's like sort of this like touchstone. But then there's all these other really fucking funny scenes that are happening like in the home. Right. So he goes looking for her on like his it's like right literally like the first day they're married. They're not obviously going to go on a honeymoon. He's got too much work or whatever. And and he comes home and he finds like an open box of condoms in the drawer.
Yeah, like it's in her bedside drawer. She moved it in
with like a vibrator, and he is like so fucking pissed about it.
Oh, like livid that it's open. That it's, and he's not like. I don't think it's like jealousy of the person who used the condom before him. Yes. But it's like jealousy of the idea that she might use this open box of condoms with someone else.
Yes.
So he throws it out.
And listen, everybody, not just that he throws it out in like the kitchen garbage can. He goes down the hallway to the apartment trash chute. Tosses the whole fucking box in there, right?
Perfect.
And this is the part where it's like, I don't know. It's just so great, right?
And that's
like
the moment where you're like, oh no, they're not fucking other people.
Right.
And that's also the same night. She's like asleep on the couch or something because he's late.
Yes.
And she's taken off her rings because they are a burden to her. Like she's basically like, I don't know, it's too much. So she takes them off and she leaves them somewhere. I can't remember where.
It's like on the couch next
like
to
on
her,
the
I
ottoman,
think, right? Yeah.
And then he comes in and he's like, you got to go to bed. And he does that. I love that. That's sort of sleepy. Like, he like lifts her up to like take her to bed and put her to sleep. And he's like, where are your rings? And she's like, I took them off. And he goes and he gets them. And then he puts them back on her. And he says out loud, that's better. Like, this man is down bad.
And it is, right? Like, and that's
so fun. Listen, it's
really
such
fun.
a great romance because you're like, he's so into her. And it's only 30% of the way through. And you're still like, these two idiots are never going to make it work. And it's so fun. This week's episode of Fated Mates is sponsored by Videntro Wallets. Elegant Italian leather wallets crafted for style, durability, and everyday luxury.
Yeah, so this is really a fun item, one where you're really going to like treat yourself to like this luxurious item. It is handcrafted in Florence, and these are really slim, elegant, stylish wallets. And the thing that is really cool, so the word Videntro essentially is kind of like a mishmash that's meant to say like look inside. And so, the outside of these wallets is, plain. It's like black or tan or navy. But then when you open it up, it has a beautiful, vibrant color. So I have the navy one. And when you open it up, it is this beautiful robin's egg blue. And it just like feels like a little secret to yourself. Like keep your money in something beautiful.
Love it.
And I, like Sarah, love a pocket wallet. And so for me, I don't carry this wallet all the time. This is a wallet I'm like, okay, if I'm just going out and I want to stick something in my pocket, or I'm traveling and I just want to have something that I can like sort of pull out and carry with me. So, if this is something you might enjoy, also it's just like a part of your wallet wardrobe, I'll say.
Well, you can learn more about the Videntro Pocket and Bifold wallets at videntro.com. That's VEDENTRO.com. And if you use the code FATED, you'll get 10% off in addition to any other offer that Videntro is running. So again, that's videntro.com. Use the code FATED for 10% additional discount on the website. If your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title right now to be taken to check out these wallets. And thanks to the team at Videntro for sponsoring this week's episode.
then I think like the next sort of set of like sort of gauntlets essentially are with family. So I forget. He also sees her at lunch with her coworkers. And it's like two women and a man, and like the two women are in the, in the restroom. And so he only sees her with this man, and he's like glaring daggers at her across the room. He's with his sister, but like doesn't introduce her at this time. It's just like, and this to me is like, I don't know, like, in that book, was it Save the Cat, where it's like fun and games is like the name of like this to me, it really like hits as fun and games. Because what we really see are like these two sort of idiots. And what happens is, and this is where like all the announcing, all of their plans for how they're going to tell their families gets thrown out the window, because it is after this lunch that she goes back to fucking work and everyone is staring at her.
Because he was so pissed off.
He sent a company-wide email.
Well, because she sort of sticks it to him too. Like he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, we're just bashing the CEO.
Yeah.
And then he tells the whole company they're married.
Yes.
And like kind of fucks her.
Yes.
Like nobody wants to be her friend anymore.
Yes. Like they won't invite her to happy hour anymore.
So nice, everyone. She like shops at the farmer's market and buys people gifts.
Yes. And so
I would still be friends with her.
These people she just had like lunch with are like, wait, are they talking about you because we were just at lunch together? And then Clara shows up in his office and is like, literally, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then there's this great part where like she texts him and she's basically like, I love this. Send me the code for the elevator. And he's like, I'm a little busy now. And she's like, you are locked up in your fucking tower. I am down here with the normies. And I will reply all to this fucking email. You cannot let me up that goddamn elevator. And it's great. Like, it really is, like, fun, right? And I think the other thing about a romance like this is, I think it really is effective when you get the sense that the two people are well matched. Right? There's not a huge like disconnect in terms of like their ability or power to speak to each other, right? Like they're a good match for each other.
No, and it's really a great lesson in how to write a contemporary in 2026.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, like you said, these are good people who are well matched, who have good friends, who have families that love them. Like, there is not a lot of trauma here. Right. There is, like, obviously, Saoirse doesn't have a great relationship with her mother, but, like, so say so many of us, right? Like, that's very relatable. And I think that there's something, but, like, Julia Wolf is able to maintain a level of why can't they be together right now that is rare these days in contemporary romance. And I mean, I'll just say it, everybody. Like, we're all noticing it, right? Like, it's the characters, if you can't, and it's born of the fact that, like, obviously in 2026, contemporary romance requires us to see decent people be decent to each other, right? But that means that you have to build an external conflict in the book that sustains two decent people being decent with each other.
Yes.
And this book really does in a very believable way.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, then, he gets home that night. His parents have shown up and met Saoirse, even though he's not there. Right. And
his mom's, like, in love.
Of course.
So cute.
It is. It's really cute. And I think the part of it, though, that is going to be far more difficult is her family. Because then she essentially gets the like sort of call, like, now you need to show up, right? And they video call, I think, and like, she's got a brother who's like really, come on. And I think this is, at this point, it's not until they go to Wyoming.
It's public. It's made public in the news.
Right. And so now it's like all of this is like hurried up. And this is why she was pissed at him. Like, what were you doing? And the thing that is, I think, important about the trip to Wyoming is it's really the first time we understand or like start to understand why Saoirse is so like where her deep rooted sort of wounds are around like love and marriage. And so even though her brother's name is Locke,
Mhm.
and his wife is named Elena. They have 2 kids. Elena's pregnant again. The kids are actually really fun. And I don't like typically love kids in a romance, but like it's a boy and a girl. And like the girl is named Hannah, and all she wants to do is like put bows on everything, including in Luca's hair. But like the little boy's name is Caleb, and he is basically like, you're not good enough for Aunt Saoirse. It's like adorable.
Exactly.
And and then Locke, her brother, is very much like, kind of, how dare you? We weren't there. Like, we weren't there for the wedding. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what, he, and this, I know my sister, something, again, like, sort of like, what's going on here? And it's then when like, they essentially get the call that her, like, mom has also come into town, right? Like, has like
Because her
airdropped
mom
in.
is like,
Yes.
I have to get ahead of this. Her
Yes.
mom has like some kind of ruthless sidekick.
Yeah.
And
she's
yeah.
like, we're gonna meet at, the Wagon Wheel Cafe or whatever the fuck it's called. And this is, I think, the first time Luca really understands that, because remember, like, he has only seen her with this group of friends who like love and support her and think she's awesome. And now he's seen her with like her brother and her father and this part of the family who thinks she's awesome. But this conversation with the mother-in-law, and we're skipping like some sex that happens kind of before, is with her mom. It's devastating. And it's really like, I don't know, like, I do love a scene where actually like somebody sticks up for you with your family.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those really painful moments where you're like, Saoirse's mom just doesn't is so cold in a way and doesn't understand the effect that it has on her relationship with her kids.
No,
and
because she has chosen a different life. I mean, you talk about how the father had an affair. Like, I mean, it is true that the father had an affair. That's and listen, that's not great. But the reality is that, like, I also think this book sort of threads that needle really interestingly because everybody knows that I mean, like, I do not ascribe to no cheating in romance. Like, I think it can be done really well. And I think in this particular case, like, here are 2 people where she chose a different life and strung him along. Like, and he was sort of in a position where,
like, he was sad and lonely, and like, and it really is
very reasonable. Like, because the marriage was over,
right?
And I think that the way that marriage is sort of articulated in the way that we see it on page, because we also see the 2 of them together, right? Like,
right.
The way we see it on page, we think to our, like, you sort of can't help but think to yourself, like, this is a sort of terrible reality, like very relatable again, that Saoirse and her brother witnessed. And marriage is terrifying if that's the way you think of it, right?
Yes.
Also, it really shows the scene with the mother also sort of really underscores this kind of idea that no wonder Saoirse is afraid to put down roots, is afraid to commit, is afraid to say yes to opportunity, is afraid to like start a business, to do any of these things, because like her mother's like rigid obsession with success.
Yeah.
And, clawing her way to the top ruined their family.
Yes. Yeah. And so Saoirse's like, I don't really want any part of that, but also it was fine. Again, one of the things I think is really smart about this book is it's like, these were choices that worked for her when she was 22.
Yeah.
But now that she is like closer to 30, it's feeling like it's like Arrested Development.
Yeah,
so,
she's just hanging in thin air. Like, she's just hanging there.
Right. And so it's like being with Luca, and like, it's a great scene where he basically is like, you're never going to talk to my wife like that again.
Right.
I mean, oh yeah, it's fucking great. Right. And they go back to Denver, and then like we really start to see like some really interesting things happening sort of in tandem, right? So Saoirse is like kind of real, like she loses sort of the friends at work, but kind of picks up and starts working with Miles, who is, I think, Elliot's brother or Weston's brother.
But I mean, Luca can't stand it.
Right. Well, none of them could.
Well, and then there's also the honey guy.
Right, exactly, right. And so, like, we see Saoirse, like, sort of really committing to, like, actually, I might start this business with Miles. And they finally go and get the cat, Clementine, who's, like, adorable. And Luca's like, I'm not even really a cat person. And then immediately is, like, a cat person, right?
Yeah.
And, but at the same time, the other part that happens is they start having sex. But only under very restricted circumstances, which is because the first time it happens is on their way out of town in Wyoming, right? So like they're like she's
emotional.
Yeah. But also it's really hot. The night before, I think they go meet her mom. She's like masturbating or has like a toy in her room, and Luca comes in and she basically like sits on his lap. She's naked and he's fully clothed, and she just like gets herself off, like kind of with his help. And then they go to like this awful lunch, and then go home and sort of like lick her wounds. And the next day they're like about to like get on the road to Wyoming, and he like turns the other way and they pull into a fucking motel. And he just destroys her. They just have like the most intense, like it's just like this epic sex. Like she was like, I can't believe I have to sit on a fucking motorcycle for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You destroyed me. But it was worth it. And then when they get back to Denver, they essentially only have sex in hotels because their home
at lunch.
Is at lunch. Like the Davenport or whatever, right? You can't have sex at home. That's somehow breaking Luca's rules.
Right, because that's like,
that's
where
real.
Marriage would have, like that
right.
would make it real. If we
and
did
so
it at
somehow
these
keeping
dummies.
it restricted to hotels is not going to be emotional. I fucking listen. This
dummies.
To me is the purest of romance reasons.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
If
it makes
we
perfect
only
sense
have sex
to no
at
one
a
but these
hotel,
two people. Exactly.
Then it's fine.
Exactly.
And then the other part in terms for Luca, he's late at work every night, or he comes home and then disappears again. And she finally gets up the nerve to ask him where he is going or where he's been. And it turns out that he is an artist. And I really love this secret artist.
Secret artist in his secret apartment.
Sign me up. He's got because rich men. I have a secret apartment in the same building where I do my secret art sculpting.
Oh, wait. Before we get to that,
great.
though, I want to go back to the family moment because I had something to say about Heated Rivalry. Which is, so everybody, I finally watched Heated Rivalry. I finished a book and then immediately watched Heated Rivalry.
She really did. It was amazing. Very gratifying.
And I joined the text thread with Adriana and Joanna and Jen, and they were all like, yeah, we know, but I still just like verbally vomited into the text thread.
It was great.
So I'm one of them now, but it was interesting because I watched it with Eric, and so and there was the scene at the cottage when Shane's dad turns up.
Yes. Oh boy.
And what you need to know about this is that Eric, everyone's favorite podcast producer, has like a deep level, like the level of embarrassment that he would feel for being caught in that situation, it is so deep seated in Eric that he was like, I would like levitate off the planet. Like I would have walked into that lake, and that is the end of that, right?
Put rocks in my pocket and walked into the lake.
And so Shane is melting down in that scene, and Eric is like, yes, Shane is behaving completely reasonably.
Amazing.
Shane like bent over, hyperventilating, very reasonable, very relatable. So anyway, so then basically, so there's this whole moment where, in Heated Rivalry where Shane is like, I have to go and talk to them. And Ilya's like, I'll come with you. And Shane and Eric is like, absolutely not. And I was like, no, Eric, it's romance. He has to go.
Yes.
And Eric was like, that's crazy. And I was like, That's romance, my
That's
friend.
romance law.
This is the show. Like,
yeah, right.
Whatever is about to happen. And then, of course, when Ilya said we're lovers, Eric was like, no.
Shane, like, literally, like, curling, like, desiccating, like, literally desiccating at that moment, right? Like, he's like, there's no more moisture in my body. It's all gone now. Oh, that's amazing.
So I did have this moment. So that's what I wanted to say is like, God, this moment, this like parent moment is really, it is bedrock to romance where there is family issue.
Yeah. Well, and I think the important thing about that moment is not just, right, like Locke stands up for her too, right?
Yeah, of course.
For her brother, but to have Luca do it and really
I'm your family now.
With no information.
Yeah.
Just like understanding this is all wrong and I don't like any of it. And I think that he is able to understand that like whatever strife his parents might be undergoing right now, they would never have treated him or his sister or right that way. And so it's really like a really beautiful moment. And then he like fucking tears her up. And I am not sad about it. So anyway, she figures out that he's got a secret sculpture room. And all of this is like really from here on in, it's like, okay, to use an Olympics metaphor, now we're just like, these two are just rushing downhill at top speed, right? Like they have sex in the apartment. They like all of a sudden, all of the kind of rules have fallen by the wayside because these two are falling in love with each other.
And
right?
like really love each other.
Yeah.
Like, yes, can't keep their hands off each other, but also like are deeply into it. Like they're charmed by each other. They laugh with each other. I mean, Luca can't stop referring to her as his wife. Like it's just, I mean, these two they're forever and ever and ever.
Yeah. Right. I mean, even Clementine
and you're
the
like
cat understands
60% of the way through the book at this point. You're like, these two are for the long haul.
And so then the question is like, okay, well, so what's going to happen, right? What is going to like disrupt the apple cart that they are happily, sort of, the sex is great, right? Her job is great. They've got this awesome fucking cat they both love, right? It's great. Well, then we get, and I would say, listen, sometimes things like this like work or don't for me, I think, but then we get essentially a crisis in the making with Clara and her husband.
Correct.
And there's been some hints.
This worked for me because
it did.
The character
it worked for me too.
The character work for Clara and her husband from the beginning was correct.
Right. It didn't come out of nowhere. Like once it all sort of happens, you realize like, oh, like, and it's like kind of interesting work, right? Like Clara kind of married someone that felt like safe and stable, and now it turns out that he's not at all. And I won't even like really spoil like exactly what they discovered, but it's bad.
It's a little bit crazy what they discover.
Like here's what I will say. In all of these books, and I kind of respect that this is just like a craft decision that Julia Wolf makes. Every single one of these books ends up essentially in like essentially makes a hard right into melodrama. Right, where there's like a really super dramatic like sort of thing that kind of like comes into play.
Yeah. I have to like now this many books into Julia Wolf, I'm like, oh, this is stylistic.
Yeah, and exactly, and and sometimes that works better than others. Like I think it's really effective in this book. I did not find it as effective in the first book, right? Where the guy shows up, it doesn't matter. So anyway, and the reason that it's important is because this sends Luca into a crisis with his family who he loves and has always loved, and they've supported him, and now he understands that it is his job to support them. And so his sister finds out this really, insane news about her husband, goes into like labor, right? Like,
awful.
It's like sort of like, the FBI is involved. Like there's like a whole lot going on. And what he then wants is for Saoirse at that moment to say, yes, I love you. I'm committed to, like he then needs something to fill him up because he is now giving everything to his family. And he really cannot see how shitty he's being to her.
Well, because listen, the sister-in-law goes into labor.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need to focus on my family right now. And she's like, I know her too. Like, I want to be here. I want to help. Is she okay? Like, I want to. And he's like, I don't think you're understanding. This is my family. And I need to be with them. And you don't need to. You are not welcome here. Well, I don't think he says it quite that way. He says something like, I don't want you here.
First, he goes to the hospital and she's like, can't you just wait for me? And he's like, no. And so she has to drive herself separately.
Yeah, she drives
and then
herself.
She's like sitting there kind of alone in this room. And he comes out.
And he's like in his head going, she hasn't told me she's staying. And he's like, and she's like, this motherfucker is actively pushing me away.
Yeah. And again, given like the reason this worked for me is it, like you said, right? Like the seeds of this are set up from the moment they decide to get married.
Saoirse has been pushed away by her mother her whole life. And so she has actively pushed herself away from people.
Right.
Despite the obvious again, the character work here is so thoughtful. Despite the fact that she is constantly giving herself to people because she's searching for that companionship.
Right.
And it's just, and he is like, he's just a mess.
Yeah.
Now, he's just a mess because he also didn't see the one piece of information that's important about the brother-in-law is that he didn't see that the brother-in-law was actually doing something that like was actively taking down the company.
Yeah, right. Not just his, so it's like the layers and layers he sort of
just terrible.
Yeah. So Luca basically says to her, I don't want you here. And now listen, this is also very smart at a plotting level because you need a witness for this. And so she stumbles away, like sort of shocked and upset and horrified and sad. And Elliot is like, where are you going? And she says to him, Luca doesn't want me here. And Elliot is like calms her down and like she kind of gets it
Elliot,
together.
Who is like very logical, is like,
yes,
no, that can't
possibly
be
true. Right?
Can't be true.
That can't possibly be right. So she leaves, goes home, packs her bags, leaves a note with the doorman to watch the cat, and like takes off for Wyoming. Essentially, like, I can't be here. And she leaves this note that's like very dignified, and you don't get to read it till Luca finds it. But I really liked the note because it admits that she is heartbroken. It's not like I'm running away. Here's where I'm going. But I'm heartbroken, and this is broken me, and I just need some time. And I guess you do too. And I hope this isn't the end. But she clearly doesn't really know what it is. So then, days pass, like Luca, like the baby is born, and Luca is like, and finally his family's like, you got to go home. And, he gets home and is like, where's my fucking wife?
Where's my cat?
Where's my cat? At the doorman is like, oh, Miss, Luca, you're home. Great. Like, the cat's been fine. And Luca, you can like literally see his brain be like, bup, 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 bup. Like, what? What do you mean my cat's been fine? And, the doorman is then like freeze, like, oh shit, I've said something. And then, I think it's Elliot who's like, well, I saw her leave and she said you didn't want her there. And then all of a sudden it's like, right, a wave of the dumbass shit. Right, that he says that he said.
What
right?
a dummy!
Oh,
what a dummy!
And so he goes to Wyoming and he gets his wife back, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's delicious. It is
great.
A really fun,
yeah,
deeply satisfying read.
Yes, yes,
it works on every level. Every character is like the right version of itself. I mean, I just was. I'll be honest.
It was really fun.
It was a real. I had a great week reading all these books.
Yeah. One thing that this is really funny. So I did at the end of this book, it tells you like Locke and Elena's book is whatever one, right? And they've been married at this point for
I did read that.
years.
I went back and read that one.
Well, and then and I'm going to tell, I didn't read it yet. Like I sort of was like, oh, I'm interested in that. And then I was kind of like, what's she been writing since? And this is where I'm going to tell you, okay, the next series is Locke and Elena's kids. And I was like, wait, these names sound familiar. Hannah and Caleb and Phoebe.
Oh, they're like children in this series.
They are.
Listen,
like
this is not for Sarah.
Now, and it was really funny because it has not been for me either.
I support everyone, but that is not for Sarah.
Now, and here's the part though that's really interesting because we were talking about this at my library presentation this weekend. And this was like Susan and I, maybe we're talking about it in the car. One of the things is...
it's not an uncommon thing.
No, it's not. But I will tell you one of the things I find fascinating and strange about it. And it was very gratifying to like sort of talk to someone who had the same experience. Okay. The first time I came in contact with this in the 80s, you could write in the 80s about like a second generation because technology actually wasn't that different. A phone is a phone. A plane is a plane. Right? But I feel like one of the things I find really fascinating now about these like second generation books is how there is absolutely no attempt on the part of the author to think like, what is it really going to look like?
Oh, you want it to be
years.
Set. So wait, here's my question. This is set in the future?
No, but I'm saying it would have to be. The books about Locke and Elena's kids, who I've not read, have to now be 30 years in the future. The year is now 2056. So I think part of why I struggle a little with like second generation books now, now listen, everybody, I've not read these. So maybe Julia Wolf, in fact, has. There's
maybe
an
they
iPhone
are
239. What do I know? But like, technology is changing. What is the world like?
I would be very interested in hearing more from authors who have made this choice in contemporary. Obviously, in historical, this is everybody. It doesn't work for me in historical either. Like this is one of my big sticking points with historical.
Yes.
I have a personal Sarah problem with second generation romances, which is why people are always like, are you going to write the kid? No, I'm never going to write. I'm never going to do that. So that setting that aside, it feels difficult. It feels weird to me because contemporary romance should, I think in my head, whenever I pick up a contemporary, like if I pick up a contemporary written today in 2016, in 2000, if I pick up a contemporary that's written in 1980, right? I, in my head, am translating it to now, right? So, like, even those McNaught books that I talk about all the time, which, like, do obviously, like, they reference, like, 1990s celebrities. Like, I get it. It's not now. But I, like, in my head can say, like, but it is now. Like, she picked up the phone to make a phone call and, like, it's a cell phone. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's supposed to be now.
Yeah.
Right? So I struggle.
But that's my thing.
I'm like, kids, like what? So I guess my big question is, and if you're an author who has done this and is doing this, has made the choice to do this, I'm very curious as to why, because what is the appeal of doing a second generation for a contemporary story when you could just like invent a new family?
Right. Well, and that's
or give those people friends, just keep expanding their grown-up world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this is, like, interesting, right? So, like, let's take Sebastian St. Vincent, right? Like, so they have to be on the fucking...
You mean the Duke of Kingston?
I do mean the Duke of Kingston. They have to take a carriage for 800 hours or whatever to Gretna Green with hot bricks because, motherfucker, that's the only way you're going to get there. But there's a railroad in, like, the next generation.
Yep.
That they are taking.
Yeah.
And so it kind of worked for me because it was clear that like the books were moving forward in time.
Yeah.
At the same
characters
time,
are moving forward in time.
Right. But like when I read, I did not read the whole Graham Effect, right? That's like the second generation of The Deal, like Hannah and Garrett from The Deal.
That's the one that I always think about.
And I was like, because it's 30 years in the future.
But it's not written like it's the future. It's just written like a contemporary, but it's about...
Yes.
This is a challenge for me.
Yes.
And it's a challenge. Like, it's
a
interesting.
world-building issue, everybody.
I mean, I understand. It is not a world-building issue for me. Like, what's interesting is it's a challenge for both of us, but for completely different reasons.
I think here's what I will say is I have the same issue. I don't really need or want to read second generation.
Yeah.
But I do think if you are going to, now it's a world building issue. I
You
guess
have
that's
to
what I'm
move
trying
the
to say.
time. You
Yeah.
have to write future.
Yes.
You're basically writing sci-fi.
Yes. I mean,
listen, I don't know. Couldn't be me. Happy for everybody who enjoys that and wants to write it. I don't really understand it, but enjoy yourselves. I'm so happy you weirdos are out there doing your thing.
I mean, it was really interesting once I was like, oh, wait, Caleb, this is like that little kid who's constantly like fucking insulting Luca. Like hilariously, this 5-year-old literally at one point was like, we don't have any beds that are your size. They're all too big for you. Essentially calling him a small man. It's fucking funny as hell. He's like 5. And I was like, wait, that kid is now, a grown up, but okay. But how?
Well, I bet he's a smart ass. I mean,
Sure.
that's great.
It will. But
Listen.
I am sort of fascinated by, like, again, like context collapse, like time has no meaning. I know people say that, but it has meaning to me. So there you go. It's interesting.
Yeah, but I do think, like I said, like when you read a Judith McNaught, when you read Perfect, are you reading is it historical for you?
Yeah, I really am. Like, this is 1990.
Okay. Interesting.
Based on the descriptions of like phones and technology and
clothing.
Clothing. Woo. Hot.
Yeah. Shoulder pads for miles.
Shoulder pads, feathered hair. Amazing. Corvettes are cool. Like, what can I tell you? It's a different time.
Corvettes are still cool. It's fine.
So, yeah.
Everybody, this book is fun. I hope you go read it.
It is fun.
And Julia Wolf, thanks so much for if you're listening, thanks so much for this amazing week of my life. I had a great time.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like she has a huge backlist. And now this is a person who I'm looking for something new. Like, it's nice to have those people, like a list of people you can just be like, I wonder what I could read by this author I really like.
Yeah, exactly. I am excited. Everybody, I'm Sarah McLean. I'm here with my friend Jen Prokop. We are Fated Mates. You are listening to us on whatever podcasting app you listen to us on. You can listen to us every week on that podcasting app on Wednesdays. That's when new episodes drop. If you want to follow us on the internet, you can do that on Instagram and Threads at Fated Mates Pod or on Blue Sky at Fated Mates. You can also find all the books we referenced today on at fatedmates.net. If you click on episodes, there's a list of all the books we talked about today. There will be a list of like all the other things that we talked about. If there are articles or whatever that are related to them, those will be there. And then what else? You can, if you really love talking about books and you love romance novels, then you can join our Patreon, which gets you one extra episode a month. And also gets you access to our Discord, where a few thousand other romance readers hang out all day, all week, all year long, talking about romance novels. It's very fun over there. You can learn more about that at fatedmates.net/Patreon. Other than that, is that it? Are we done?
That's it.
Awesome. We love you all. Stay safe out there. Stay warm out there. If you hang out after this week's episode, you will get a sneak peek of What in the Smut. And we will be here next week.
Welcome to What in the Smut podcast, where the books are horny and so are we. I'm Elle.
And I'm Kay. So what do we got going on in the Smutverse this week?
It's been a crazy couple of weeks online. First, let's shout out H.M. Wolf, the Black author of the wildly popular book Daggermouth, for landing a 7-figure trad deal for both Daggermouth and its sequel, Python. This is a huge accomplishment, and given all the discourse I've seen online about Daggermouth, I think it's a fabulous slap in the face to her haters.
That's amazing.
I know.
Huge.
Huge. Absolutely incredible. and just like, oh, you love to see it. You love to see it. I know we talk a lot about indie versus trad, and there's like a lot of discourse about like how big of a gatekeeping community traditional publishing is, but like it's still really, really exciting to see somebody make it this big, and especially a woman of color, to see her get her flowers is just very exciting.
So is Daggermouth out? Was Daggermouth indie
Yes,
published?
Daggermouth was indie published at the end of last year. It was like really hyped and really, really big and is like very highly reviewed. And I don't know when the sequel is due.
Well, if it just got picked up, probably not for a couple years.
Yeah.
Good for them. That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, right? Elsewhere in the Smutverse, Amazon affiliates will no longer pay out for links to romances with explicit sex. So there goes our only other form of revenue on this bootstrapped podcast.
Yeah, I actually tried to find the link for the one we did today, and it's like, this is not.
Here's a reminder that you can find us on Buy Me a Coffee, and that link will be in the show notes as always. And also a thank you for sitting through whatever advertisement gets slotted into the little dings that'll appear right after this segment.
Yep.
Finally, let's talk about Anytime Author Promotions. This organization runs a plethora of bookish events across the country, including Getting Witchy with It, Dreaming Dirty, Book Blast, Books and Chocolate, etc., and is now watching as authors are pulling out left and right. The owner of AAP, Virginia Lee, posted a 40-minute Facebook Live where she was actively driving and ranting that ICE's Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis was not that bad because she hadn't seen much evidence of it when she drove through town.
Okay.
Yes. As a reminder, ICE's incursion into the city has left multiple U.S. citizens dead and thousands of people detained in inhuman detention centers without access to critical medication and adequate food. Despite her half-hearted attempts to backtrack, internet sleuths also found her comments across such pages as liberal tears, implying that Renee Good deserved to be shot. This showing of true colors has left authors in a difficult position, as AAP is refusing refunds for table fees, given that authors trying to withdraw due to the organizers' comments are doing so willingly.
I mean, I can understand that. Like, them not getting their money back. I can get it. Virginia Lee, I mean, she made a choice.
Yeah.
And there's consequences to that. So, like, what the money she's made off of those authors so far, like, I can understand it's probably already been earmarked for something else or been spent for something, but it's still going to affect her in the future. People aren't going to want to work with her moving forward. So, like, good for the authors that are backing out and probably are like, fine, you know what? I don't need my money back because
But some people are in a position where they can't afford not to go because they've already paid those costs. They've already paid for travel, paid for accommodation. Like it's difficult. Like, and this organization has already received, I think a year ago, there was a lot of discourse around the fact that their events are not accessible and they've done no like accommodations. And so there was already kind of like a bad taste in people's mouths about working with them, but this is just next level.
It all comes back to like people think that doing an event like that is just fun and don't necessarily have any experience in planning events and then don't seem to learn from their mistakes when they plan the next one.